Mandela's centenary out at Freedom Park today. Let's take you live there to listen into those proceedings.
As South Africans, particularly putative black South African leaders, we have not been the catalysts that we should be. Which is why we find ourselves at this particular conjuncture still lacking, wanting, particularly where effectiveness is concerned and where ethical behavior is concerned. I hope that the various youth leadership groups and the programs that we have that have chosen to come together will enable us to reach critical mass and enable us to understand that Africa has got to act as a continent, not as a continent in fragments, which is what we are today. 1894 led to the scramble for Africa, and it got partitioned because we were a continent in fragments then. Today, China comes and negotiates with us as if it was a country, and we behave as little countries, as if we were countries when in fact we are part of a continent. And unless and until we actually come together and think Pan-Africa and consolidate the regions into regions and consolidate the regions into the continent so that China doesn't come around here and negotiate with Angola as if it was country to country. China is, in fact, even though some people may not call it a continent, is a continent, larger than Africa as a continent. So when they come here, there is no gainsaying that if they engage in a dance with tiny Lesotho, or even tiny Angola, even tiny Nigeria, if they engage in a dance, there is no question as to who will be trampled over. If you have an elephant and a mouse engaging in a tangle, if things go wrong, there's no question as to who will be trampled over. And unless Africa actually behaves as the continent that it is, consolidated, developing terms as to who we want to enter into a trade with, America, Europe, Japan, China, will continue to trample over and will continue to be a continent in fragments. Now, I was requested to actually talk a little bit about whatever lessons I might have learned as a participant observer in academia as well as in business. I'll try and highlight a few elements that I believe might be pertinent to you as today's leaders, not just emergent leaders. Mama Graca disabused us of that false notion that you are emergent leaders, you are leaders of tomorrow. You can lead right now. There are a few aspects that I would like to touch on that I believe might be pertinent. The first one being the importance of bold intent. What you intend to do, you cannot afford to be limp-wristed about. Your ambition is not anything that you can be limp-wristed about. I think you've got to be sure-footed and courageous and pursue it at the individual level, at the family level, at the community level, at the national level, and I dare say, at the continental level. Second, I believe there are lessons that all of us have learned from our families. I would like to share just one lesson with you that I learned from my grandfather. I was actually brought up by my grandparents, especially because tradition said the firstborn child can in fact be handed over to the grandparents. So I was brought up by my grandfather and my grandmother. And whenever I misbehaved, my grandmother said, "You don't have 100. There's something faulty about yourself." And then she would proceed to actually teach me or educate me on value systems. My grandfather left me with one signal lesson. you don't rest unless you're tired. So rest is a state you earn by dint of being tired. Those who rest without being tired are not resting, they are indolent. So till this day, I don't rest unless I am tired.
All right, we're going to come out of those Mandela centenary celebrations. That is Mr. Khoza there, who represents the Graca Machel Foundation. They are continuing with those celebrations out in Pretoria. Pearl is up next with your sports now.